So it looks like Sony themselves might have just confirmed that Tom Hardy and Venom are indeed going to be in the next Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 4, and that we finally are going to get that crossover between Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock and Tom Holland's Peter Parker. And honestly, this might be one of those moments where different divisions of Sony possibly said something that they weren't really supposed to say, giving some big secrets away about the next upcoming film, because this is coming from an official press release from Sony Pictures Japan. It comes from their official website and it comes from an official press release from them. And things like this do happen. I remember during the Spider-Man No Way Home era when we were all basically about 98% sure that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man were going to show up in the movie. We'd see official promotions accidentally get put online from companies that Sony and Marvel Studios were going to sponsor with. I remember there was a pizza promo where it had the 3 Spider-Men on the boxes that came out before it was supposed to, and everybody thought it was fake, but it ended up being real. This seems to be kind of the same thing, except, again, it's coming from Sony Pictures themselves. The press release is meaning to give a lot of information about the film. Unfortunately, for them, not for us, it seems to give a little bit too much away. And big credit to Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus for finding this, because Sony Pictures released this November 8th, so just about 2 weeks ago. Now, you can go to the site yourself and just click translate on whatever browser you use, but I'll show it to you on screen as well. As you can see here, it is the Sony Pictures official website, .jp, Japan, corporate press release, and it says press materials, and on the top right it gives the date, November 8th, and who it's from, Sony Pictures Entertainment Incorporated. So what might have happened is that Sony simply sent this out to all of their other divisions across the world, and Sony Pictures Japan was like, cool, let's post this, let's tell people about it. So it starts off by stating the excitement of Spider-Man No Way Home is back. Finally, Spider-Man is returning to the big screen. The 4th Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland will be released in Japan in summer 2026. Spider-Man No Way Home has stirred up movie fans around the world in 2021, grossing approximately $1.91 billion worldwide, making it the 3rd highest grossing film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. The 4th installment of the Spider-Man series starring Tom Holland will be released in Japan in the summer of 2026. Tom Holland will reprise his role as Spider-Man/Peter Parker. The director will be replaced by Destin Daniel Cretton, director of Shang-Chi: The Legend of the Ten Rings, from John Watts, who directed the previous 3 films in the series. The film is scheduled to be released in the United States of July 24, 2026. But here is where it gets super interesting. They then state, Tom Holland, who plays Peter Parker, has already given his stamp of approval to this story. This will be a real movie that fans can respect. Is Tom Hardy, who plays Eddie in the Venom series, ready to take part? They literally say that. As you can see here, they say, is Tom Hardy, who plays Eddie in the Venom series, ready to take part? Meaning, ready to take part in this story that is Spider-Man 4. But as if that wasn't enough, they actually give some more. There's a couple more paragraphs to this press release. One talks about what Tom Holland has said about Spider-Man 4 so far. I'll go over that in just a bit, but then the next one talks about Venom. It states, what fans are interested in is Venom, who is depicted as Spider-Man's nemesis in the original comics. Tom Hardy, who plays Venom/Eddie Brock in Venom: The Last Dance, which is currently a huge hit all over the world and begins with the last scene of Spider-Man No Way Home, was asked for a message to fans saying goodbye to Venom at the New York premiere of the film. Although it is the last film in the series, he said, in fact, I should not say goodbye to Venom, but welcome to the final stage, The Last Dance. Venom's story is not over yet. He still has a lot to do, end quote, leaving the possibility of future depictions. When asked about the crossover with Spider-Man, which fans are most interested in, he praised, quote, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, end quote. And he showed his enthusiasm, saying, quote, I would like to work with him. If someone needs me, I'd be happy to participate, end quote. So that entire thing is on this press release that Sony has released themselves. So literally in this press release, they ask, is Tom Hardy, who plays Eddie in the Venom series, ready to take part? Then they state, fans are interested in seeing Venom in the Spider-Man movies, played by Tom Hardy. This is some really serious hinting here. And again, I'm not sure they were actually supposed to release this to the public or if this was just supposed to go to the people at Sony. However, it very well could have been to tease that Venom is going to be in the next Spider-Man movie over in Japan, because if a lot of you don't know this, or some of you don't know this, Venom is actually really big overseas, specifically in Asian countries. Venom is really huge. Like, they love him. So maybe they are taking advantage of the love for Venom to tease the next Spider-Man film to get people excited about it and to tease them that Venom's going to be in the movie. Now, I recommend reading the article that Alex Perez put out on the Cosmic Circus because there's a lot of insight that could be going on with the marketing here. For example, he reminds fans that Sony Mexico and Sony Brazil, months before the film released, did indeed tease the other Spider-Man in the film. So again, this does happen. And honestly, I think it's actually kind of smart because that was a really big kind of marketing point for Spider-Man No Way Home last time that really drove the hype, not necessarily by Sony, but for YouTubers and TikTokers and all the social media people. We really promoted that movie for free. And then with the promotions for Sony, they really did kind of play along and hint that they were going to be in it without actually confirming. Like Tom Holland said, oh, I got to bring out my buddies. And then Zendaya and Jacob came on and he was like, who else would it be? Like they teased it, they hinted at it. But the not knowing if they were going to be in the film really put people on edge in a really good way, made them really excited, wondering if that was going to happen. It makes sense to kind of do that same thing for Spider-Man 4. If Tom Hardy's Venom is going to show up, it would be really funny to me, but it would be really smart to start teasing this but never actually confirm it. That way people kind of get that same feeling that they got for Spider-Man No Way Home. We pretty much knew that the other two Spider-Men were going to be in the film. I was, again, 98% sure, but there was still that 2% of doubt or 1% of doubt or however much doubt you had. That made it really exciting, and it made it to where the anticipation was crazy. Are they going to show up? Are they not going to show up? That anticipation, that excitement for Spider-Man No Way Home led it to being the biggest Spider-Man movie of all time and the third biggest movie of the MCU. It would make sense that they would want to capture that again. Plus, not to mention, we have heard from multiple insiders way before the Venom storyline was even thrown out there that Sony wanted to go big again. They wanted the other Spider-Man back. They wanted a huge multiversal film. They wanted Spider-Man 4 to be just this grand movie. So putting Venom in the movie is something that is very, very realistic. I mean, if we got Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man back in the MCU with Tom Holland's, then Tom Hardy's Venom is entirely possible. And again, it actually really makes sense that they would want to put him in the movie. Now, I'm not saying that Noel is going to be in the movie, and what we've been hearing is still all very much true. That's kind of a wait and see at the moment, but I personally think it's a no-brainer for Tom Hardy's Venom to be in the film, even if Noel isn't going to be there. In fact, it sounds like some events are going to take place in the MCU and Spider-Man 4, possibly Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, where Peter Parker does get the Venom symbiote, he might die, it saves him, and then he creates the Codex, because we found out that's how the Codex is created. A symbiote saves a human from dying, that creates the Codex, and then Noel senses that and goes to Earth. But since Spider-Man 4 is supposed to take place between Doomsday and Secret Wars, it doesn't make sense to really bring in Noel right now, but Eddie Brock's Venom, Tom Hardy still playing both of them, does make sense to bring into the multiverse saga and be there for Secret Wars, starting with Spider-Man 4. That makes sense. And again, I've said this before, but the ending of Venom: The Last Dance ends with Eddie being in New York. So if the universes collide, he'll be in New York in the 616 timeline if he crosses over, because as I've explained before, every time he went to the MCU and back, he never moved through space. When he was in the hotel and went to the 616 universe, he was still in the hotel. When he was in the bar in the 616 universe and got pushed back to his universe, he was still in the bar. So by that logic, if he's in New York and he moves over to 616 again, he should be in New York where Spider-Man is. So I think that this crossover is happening, and I think that Sony is beginning to tease this kind of like they hinted before with Spider-Man No Way Home and the other Spider-Man. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out the article by Alex Perez at thecosmiccircus.com. I'll link that as well. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things with the MCU and of course the Sony Spider-Verse. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.